The idea of a fixer-upper, I think, to a lot of people is a dumpy little house with a $20,000 budget.
We really want to twist that. We want to turn that on its ear. For us, we've just always loved and admired old houses. You know, the people that put these together were craftsmen.
The before is typically this rundown house that looks haunted. For just a normal couple walking in, I just think it's terrifying. I could see why this house sat on the market. It doesn't scare us off.
And Chip and Joanna Gaines in action, the husband and wife hosts of HGTV's popular show Fixer Upper, the show that helped fuel this country's obsession with home renovation. Now the couple are releasing their first book, The Magnolia Story, and they are here to tell us about it. Welcome, Chip and Joanna. It's so great to have you here. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
You have so much on your plates. You've got the show, the 4th season, premiering November 29th.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
4 kids at home, and now a book. What made you decide to add that to your plate?
You know, I think a lot of people were asking about our story, just kind of how we got to where we are here with just the show. And, you know, when we were doing renovations, Chip's been doing it for 15, 20 years now. So I think just the ups and downs of just relationship, having 4 kids, then our business and the economy, all that stuff. We just thought we wanted to reflect back and I don't know, review kind of the things.
It was a bit therapeutic, you know. I mean, writing the book for us really helped us to really dig into some of the experiences that we've had, and we kind of joke with our friends. We encourage everybody to do this. It's really fun to kind of go back in your life in general, I'm sure, but in our case, it was our business and our marriage, and just write down specific milestones. It was really it was something else.
Lovely. And you also have the store in Waco, Texas, correct? Tell us about Magnolia Silos.
Sure.
So Magnolia started in 2003 in a little shop on Bosque, and then we purchased the silos 2 years ago, renovated them, and now this is our this is our first year anniversary this last month. So just exciting to see how it's grown. Now it's in this it was once abandoned, and now you see all this life there, and, you know, a lot of the people coming to visit Waco.
How fun.
It's fun.
Are you both from Waco? Is that why you focus on that town? Or?
We're kind of transplants. I mean, I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. She was from Austin originally, so Waco, ironically, is literally right in the middle of Dallas and Austin. So we kind of met in the middle. We joke about that. But Waco's one of those interesting towns, especially when you're from a bigger city. It's funny being in New York City talking about a big city like Dallas, which is probably a fraction of the size. But, you know, when you're from a bigger city and then you settle down, it's fun to, you know, the pace of life was a little bit slower, and it really kind of connected with both of us.
Absolutely. And so I loved reading the story at the beginning of your book, which sort of explains how you got the show to begin with, which was about that houseboat and how that was a blessing in disguise.
It really was, yes. Chip surprised me.
Deep disguise.
Deep disguise, the horrible houseboat.
I wish we could show footage of that, you know, what it really was, which was just, I mean, I was completely taken by surprise. Had no idea. And I was a little mad. He wanted to move all of us on that houseboat. Well, we were looking for a place to live while the farm was being renovated. So, Chip.
And it just so happened the cameras were rolling during all of this. And this was your pilot.
Yes.
And
we were awful.
Able to see you, though, just be natural in front. It took that moment.
To forget everything was there. Me being mad at Chip, Chip being mad that he bought the boat. It was just, all of a sudden, everything went away.
The cameras that look like Volkswagens on the side of these guys' shoulders with the little red dot that at the time really sent me into like a kind of a terrified state finally disappeared, and we just acted normal and were really ourselves for a moment, and they got to capture it.
And you have this successful show, this amazingly successful show for 4 seasons.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people want to know, what is the secret to being married and having a relationship as well as working together so closely?
Sure, you bet. We were joking about that earlier. It's funny how, you know, the work element of our relationship is really, to some extent, the easy part. I mean, everybody works with co-workers, and males and females kind of mixed into the pot. But in our case, it's sort of like, how do you go back to the house and work those details out as husband and wife? And really early on, we really learned that if we'll pull together in the same direction, we're really hard to beat, as opposed to working against each other. So that was sort of
That's
our
good advice,
secret.
Pulling together as opposed to working against, because it's very easy to fall into that routine of conflict, you know.
You bet.
And that's what they saw in that first scene with the houseboat, how it started out a disaster, but you worked it out.
There you go. If we would have gotten stuck in the disaster mode, well, I mean, it would have just ended up being a miserable experience. But as opposed to that, we kind of started realizing, what can we do to make this thing work? How can we make the lemonade out of the lemons that were dealt to us, and sort of match made in heaven?
Give us some tidbits that readers might be excited to see in your book, things that they might not know already if they're huge fans of the show?
Sure.
I mean, we got in trouble a couple of times.
Yeah, I spent a little time, hard time in the slammer. We had a local county jail experience as a newlywed couple.
Not
Literally.
for what you think, though.
Right. You have to read the book to find out.
There you go. You got to find out the details. But Joe literally is carrying a
1 week or 2 week old just car seat.
Car seat. And Drakey is literally, our oldest, who's 11 now, was literally a toddler, 2 or 3 weeks old. And she's up there at the county jail trying to figure out how to get me out.
Oh, so that's so
we
good.
tell
times.
a little bit about those stories and how we didn't work against each other for
I didn't
very
leave
long.
him in there. I bailed him out.
There you go. She actually had a file, and she was trying to cut through the bars at the jail. So we really learned to work together as a team early on.
So good. And looking back, do you think, wow, there are some things that we definitely would have done differently? And on the flip side of that, I'm so glad we made that brilliant decision.
Great question.
I don't know. When I look back, I'm really thankful for the ups and downs because I feel like that's really what prepared us for this. Just having to figure out, even in the tough times, how do we, like Chip said, how do we pull together on this instead of blaming each other? So I think that's what strengthened our marriage, but also just as business people. And so I'm now you can look back and go, hey, even though it was hard, it was worth it.
Absolutely.
I would say just the idea of never quitting. You know, I mean, I look back at our relationship, and I just am so thankful if I had to go on the positive element of the question that you described, just that thankful we never quit. You know, I'm glad we didn't quit on each other, glad we didn't quit on the real estate industry. I mean, there were some tough times, 08, 09, 2010.
Are you still bullish on the real estate industry? Or
yeah, Waco's a really interesting market. You know, it's a very conservative town in the middle of a fairly conservative state. So we didn't realize the massive ups and downs that the rest of the country felt.
Right.
So, you know, from the real estate standpoint, it's not an easy place to make it rich, but it's a hard place to go broke also.
It's a good, stable.
But we're bullish for real estate. I think people have gotten wiser. I think people are making more educated decisions, especially when they talk about leverage. I think we're in definitely a better spot than we were to.
If you wanted to help people out with one piece of advice that you think a lot of people get wrong when they're looking to flip or renovate a home, what might that be?
I mean, you know, you might have heard this comment before, but I mean, you make money in real estate on the buy. And I think for some reason people consider buying a house like maybe buying a diamond ring or a purse. It becomes an emotional decision, and you got to get the emotion out of the equation. I mean, it's A plus B equals C, or it doesn't. And if it doesn't equal C, don't buy it. That's it. I mean, it's that simple. And we've walked away, I mean, tearfully in Joe's case, a few times on projects that she just thought were her dream house. And, you know, there's always another house, there's always another deal. And if you'll convince yourself of that and sincerely believe it, it's a lot harder to go broke.
That's good to know. So you think the buyer has more power than they think?
I think, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, especially in these complicated markets where you start getting into bidding wars and things get a little bit irrational. And we've got very little experience with that, but we've had a couple of opportunities to where things got really exciting and you thought, oh, I'm going to miss it. And something about that emotional transaction, if you can somehow disconnect that, you got a lot better chance of being in this game for a long run.
You're in better shape. All right, so what's next for you guys? You've got the book, you've got a magazine, you've got the show, you've got your store, you've got your family. What could possibly be next?
Wow. Yeah,
it's going to keep all the balls in the air.
Absolutely. It's how do you keep these things in the air? And, you know, with everything that goes up, you know, obviously sometimes these things come down. So Joe and I are pretty grounded. We really love our little town, Waco, Texas. And so for us, if it all ended tomorrow, I think we would look back and say, wow, what an experience. Wouldn't have traded it for the world. But if this thing continues to have a runway, we're just
quite a ride.
Awesome to be a part of it.
All your fans will keep watching as long as you keep doing it.
Sure.
So Chip and Joanna, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us, Tanya.